My name is Elliot Black. I'm a private investigator from South Georgia, and this is my show, Weird Out Here. I'm documenting my cases because if you're like me, you enjoy the weird. And let me tell y'all, it's weird out here.
You haven't heard me say that I will give you $500,000 for this yet, no, Mr. Black.
Something chased me. Something big. I walked into the woods about 30 yards off of the trail. Let my eyes adjust to the dark again.
What the fuck is going on?
I turned my eyes up to the sky, put up my hands in the sign of fire around the sun, and did a quick vanishing ritual. It had two long, arrow horse legs with hooves, a torso and arms and hands of a man.
You want to film me?
A tape? We're shaking off shit. Just a house. It's just a house. Fuck.
You said you recognized all of this, but I don't think you know where you are.
I gotta tell y'all, listening back through this stuff to put this episode together was interesting, to say the least. I got a lot of field recordings on this case, and they are cranked up to 11 on the fucked up scale, so brace yourselves. I call this one the case of the witch killer. This is Elliot Black. How can I help you?
My name is John Torres. I'm calling to inquire about your rates for surveillance.
Well, that depends on who you need watched, how long, what for, and where they are, Mr. Torres.
Of course. I need you to watch my wife, Mr. Black, for however long it takes you to catch her and get me evidence.
Ah, I see. I don't do that kind of work, Mr. Torres. I'm sorry.
You haven't heard me say that I will give you $500,000 for this yet, though, Mr. Black.
Just Elliot is fine.
Elliot, I am prepared to offer you $500,000 if you can catch my wife up to no good and get me evidence. Photos, video, whatever.
It's a lot of money, Mr. Torres.
It is, but I have a lot of money. And I think you may be the only man who can deliver. The only man in this line of work who will take this seriously.
I'm gonna assume that means you got something weird going on.
You could definitely say that. My wife is a witch, Elliot.
Oh, I see.
Your website would lead one to believe that you take these things seriously. Is that not so?
No, you got it right, Mr. Torres. I'm with you. So where are you located?
We live in Colquitt County, Georgia, just outside the place called Berlin.
I know Berlin. That's not too far a drive from you.
How convenient, Elliot.
Indeed, Mr. Torres. Would you be available to get together on Saturday to discuss this further?
Of course. Address. It is quite a large property, but the driveway will bring you all the way back to the house. It is well paved to accommodate the trucks.
Trucks? You in the shipping business?
We operate chicken houses, Elliot. 8 of them here on this property, another 6 at our place in Mitchell County. The trucks have to be able to get back to the chicken houses from the highway for loading and delivery to the processing plant.
The slaughterhouse, you mean?
Yes.
So you want to meet at your house?
Yes, unless you prefer somewhere else. I am a busy man, Elliot, and I work from home.
That's fine. Saturday, noon?
That's fine.
See you then, Mr. Torres.
Goodbye, Elliot, and thank you.
That's how it started. A call from John Torres, a Filipino-American fella. Second-generation chicken house owner and operator. For those of y'all who've never lived around chicken houses, that's where chickens are raised for the slaughter. Hatched and pumped full of all kinds of shit to make them reach maturity in about 6 weeks. They're fucking horrendous places that smell like chicken shit and feel like portals to hell, which they are, in a way, but we won't get into that now. Suffice to say, I ain't got no love for chicken houses. And the witch thing, I'm a witch. In general, witchcraft and the occult don't bother me, but unfamiliar witchcraft is something else. And Asian witchcraft was very unfamiliar to me. What I did know about that shit was scary. What I know now is even more so.
On my way to Berlin, Georgia, to meet John Torres. Poked around online last night and found a little of his family history. The Torres family bought their place in Colquitt County in 1990. Juan, the father, born in 1961. Doris, mother, born in 1964. John, son, born in 1984. Liza, daughter, born in 1986. And Lizette, daughter, born in 1989. They had a lot of good years. They bought another place over in Mitchell County in 2001. Then in 2004, a tornado wrecked the Colquitt County property and killed everybody but John. Pearl Villanueva, John's wife and alleged witch, showed up sometime in 2006. Couldn't find any solid records on her. She was either a pen pal or a mail-order bride, it seems. Pearl has been investigated by the local sheriff's department for animal cruelty, but no charges were ever filed. She was, however, arrested in 2012 for attempted assault, for threatening someone with a knife outside a gas station. The charges were later dropped. The records don't have any photos attached. Seems like John has quite the lawyer, or maybe it's just money. I lined the floorboards of my truck in paper, and I bought a few extra pairs of boots. I'm not going to track any dirt from this witch's house back to mine, or rather, the hotel I'll be staying at, about 15 miles from the Torres place. Gotta play it safe with witches. Pulling up at the house now. The driveway is indeed long, comes back about 500 yards from the road. Lots of old growth pine forest between the house and the road. The house looks fucking wrong, way wrong. Never seen anything like it. I ain't going in there. Dude's gonna have to come out to the truck. Goddamn house has an aura to it, and I don't normally see auras sober. It's sick, not really a color, just a sensation that's visible like fumes off hot asphalt. Something ain't right here at all. I'm calling John.
Hello? Is that you outside in the red pickup, Elliot?
Yes, sir. You mind meeting me outside?
Not at all. See you in a sec.
Forgive me if I don't get out, Mr. Torres. To be 100% honest with you, I get a bad feeling from this place.
I hear that a lot. Thank you for coming.
Before we talk, Mr. Torres, I need to play some music.
Excuse me?
Suffice to say that someone could be listening.
Oh, I understand, I suppose.
So your wife's a witch. I'm assuming she's a Filipino witch, a brujo, or mangkukulam. I'm probably butchering that, sorry.
Ah, you've done some reading. Yes, my wife is a bruja. She has filthy habits and desires, and this has only gotten worse in the recent years. At first it was fun, but...
I gotcha. So you want out and there's a prenup?
Exactly.
Where's she now?
She's out. But just in case, I told her I was meeting with the new foreman from the processing plant.
Slaughterhouse.
Yes.
You know where she's likely to do her thing?
Indeed I do. She does her thing here, Elliot, on the property. She has a couple of small cabins in the forest where she meets up with them.
I see. Then why don't you just set up some hidden cameras? Why bother hiring me?
If she caught me...
I understand. Don't suppose you have a map of the property with these cabins marked on it?
No. But there is a trail. Near where the chicken houses meet the woods.
Okay. And when is the best time to catch her at it?
Tonight is the new moon.
Of course.
I can meet you later, with cash. Half now, half later.
Got a hotel room near Berlin. Took my truck to a spray and wash and scrubbed it down real good, thinking about the whole thing. Something's obviously off. I'm just not sure what. John is a liar, I know that. I just don't know what he's lying about. That fucking house. I'm probably gonna have to go in there before this is over. John will be here with the cash in about an hour. It's a lot of fucking money. $250,000 goddamn dollars. Fuck. John was scared shitless when he dropped it off. That don't make me feel great about tonight. Here we go.
Now you're about to hear a combination of my field recordings from the Torres property that night and my dumbass commenting on it after the fact to fill in the gaps. Enjoy. Just parked my truck on the edge of a field up the road from the Torres place. Walking the rest of the way. Alright, so this is after about an hour of walking through the dark woods when I finally worked my way back to the well-lit chicken houses behind the Torres house. I found the trail easy enough, but didn't take it. Not only because it was lined with freshly killed chickens, but because I didn't want to walk straight down her trail like a dumbass and get spotted. I walked into the woods about 30 yards off from the trail and let my eyes adjust to the dark again, then followed the trail back into the woods as best as I could from there. The pale forms of the dead chickens in the dark made it a little easier. I made my way slow and quiet. I walked for almost an hour like this and finally saw fire somewhere in the woods ahead. As I got closer, I heard somebody banging on a drum and saw that the firelight was coming through the dirty window of a little cabin. I'll be honest with you, I was feeling a little fucking vulnerable at this point. I figured the drummer put the score at least 2-1. Who knew how many other motherfuckers were out there? I don't normally carry, even though I have a license and a safe full of guns and I'm a damn good shot. I'm walking around with a piece on my hip, and it just don't feel like me. That said, at this point, I fucking wish I had my 44 with me. So I got closer to the cabin and hunkered down in the dark and waited for a show. God damn, did I get one.
Narito sa akin ang isinumpang mga Diyos ng tao. Kaya't aking kakatayin ang banal na katawan at iaalay sa iyo ang dugong dumadaloy. Halina, halina, kadiliman ng gabi. Ibiyaya sa akin ang iyong kalapastanganan nang aking maisagawa itong mga sagradong hangarin. Ngayon na! Ngayon na!
At this point, I drew my knife and waited in the dark behind the cabin. I could see movement on the trail and hear shuffling in the woods. Didn't quite pick up on the microphone, though. Then I saw them. Dozens of them. All the dead chickens from up and down the goddamn trail were shuffling their little asses toward the cabin, toward the open door and the firelight spilling out. I've seen some shit, y'all, but never undead chickens. I eased up closer to the cabin to see if I could make out anything through the dirty window, and I could just make out Pearl's figure, facing the open door with her back to the window. She was naked, and her hands were covered in blood. There were other shapes in the room, but I couldn't tell what they were. The chickens shuffled into the cabin, and Pearl laid down on the floor, out of sight. Then, well, I'll spare you the recording, but I'm reasonably goddamn certain that what I heard was Pearl. I'm pretty goddamn sure she was in there fucking them chickens. Dead chickens. This went on for a little while, I'd say 45 minutes or so, and then she finished up. And when she did, the whole place lit the fuck up with her energy. Like I could feel her everywhere, in everything. Like she exploded outward into everything. Her power was insane. She knew I was there. She started laughing. I ran around the cabin and straight down the trail. Something chased me. Something big. It sounded like 2 legs, but bigger than anything with 2 legs should be. Whatever it was, I never saw it. And once I got to the chicken houses and all the security lights, it stopped following. I kept running, past the chicken houses, past the house. The house. The house was laughing. The whole place, booming into the goddamn night, deafening. Must have been able to hear it from the fucking highway. I didn't look at it. I was afraid I'd see her face as big as the house, laughing at me and wanting to chew me up. I ran. all the way down the driveway to the road and along the edge of the road until I got to where I parked my truck. I took my boots off and tossed them into the woods before I got into my truck and hauled ass to the spray and wash. Here's a bit of what I recorded when I got to the hotel.
Holy fucking shit. I'd never experienced anything like that before. Fuck! She had me fucked up. Whole thing was like a dream or a trip. A fucking house. Alright, motherfucker, shake it off, shit. Just a house. It's just a house. Fuck. The fucking chickens were real, though. And the big thing in the woods that chased me, I could feel its feet hitting the ground behind me. It was heavy. It was real. Holy fuck.
So I did indeed get armed, which involved calling Shelley.
Hey, what's going on? Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm at a hotel in Moultrie for work. Can you meet me over here in the morning?
I mean, I guess. What's up?
I need you to go out to the house and grab one of my pistols and bring it to me.
What the fuck is going on?
Nothing. Everything's cool. Just don't want to be without it for this.
Alright, well, where do you want to meet?
The Waffle House here in Moultrie. The newer one.
Alright, but I have to work in the morning, so it'll have to be early. Like 7:30.
See you then, lady. Thanks.
Wait, how do I know which one?
It's the big one. In the drawer inside the safe. It's in a holster on a belt.
Gotcha.
See you in the morning.
I called John first thing the next morning while I was sitting in the Waffle House waiting for Shelley.
Hello, Elliot. Good morning.
Good morning. I got an audio recording last night, but I don't suppose that will be enough, will it?
No. I don't think so.
Of course. Look, you could have mentioned how powerful your wife is, Mr. Torres. I don't appreciate being brought into something like this unprepared.
That was not at all my intention. What should I have said? Would you have believed me?
I don't know, maybe.
I apologize.
Yeah, it's fine. Where's Pearl now?
Asleep. She sleeps late.
I bet she does. I'm gonna need to come back out there this morning. Take a look around in the sunlight.
You are welcome. Anytime.
If Pearl wakes up, call me so I can get the hell out of there.
Indeed.
Talk to you later, Mr. Torres.
After a quick cup of rancid fucking coffee with Shelley, I headed to the local Walmart for food. Sitting in that grease pit made me hungry, and unfortunately for me, Waffle House don't serve any plant-based proteins. And a brother has mass to gain and maintain, so cold veggie dogs it was. Driving out to the Torres place after eating in my truck, I got to thinking about the chickens from the night before, and Pearl. This fucking bitch wasn't content just to make her sizable living off goddamn enslaving the birds. No, she took it upon herself to force them into motherfucking undead bestiality? Fucking A. This was depravity unlike anything I'd ever seen. I came over the top of a hill, and there were two big fat vultures sitting in the middle of a crossroads about 60 yards ahead. And I knew I was looking at something important, but I just wasn't getting it, you know? I got out to the Torres place around 9 o'clock and took a walk back to the cabin from the night before. I drove my truck all the way down their driveway, back to the chicken houses, and parked it right there at the edge of the woods. Fuck it. There were horse prints all up and down the trail, and in the woods. Horse prints. The thing behind me the night before was running on 2 legs. Of that I am certain. Other than a few dead chickens and a lot of flies, the cabin was empty. There was dried blood everywhere, some fresh and some old, real old. It smelled horrendous. Stepping back outside, I saw 2 crows in a big old pine tree next to the trail. 2 crows. I thought about the second cabin that John had mentioned, and went walking further down the trail into the woods to find it. I found it. It wasn't far from the first, maybe a few hundred yards, sitting right off the trail. It was locked up with a padlock, but the shitty Home Depot door on the cabin wasn't weatherproofed in the goddamn slightest, so I just kicked it open. As soon as the door swung in, my knees gave way, and I fell down onto my ass hard. I puked up about half of my cold veggie dog breakfast, and forced myself up off the pine needles and onto my feet. There was a vapor pouring out of the cabin like gas fumes, like the house the day before. I turned my eyes up to the sky, put up my hands in the sign of fire around the sun, and did a quick banishing ritual. Not sure if it was effective against whatever was in that cabin, but it made me feel better. Banishing rituals can be like guns in certain not-so-normal situations. It's not that they're necessarily going to do you any good, Sometimes it's all you need to make you brave enough to do the damn thing. So I clicked on a little mag light and stepped inside. It was decorated up real nice in there. Crucified chickens hung all over the place. There must have been 25 of them nailed to each wall. The floor and ceiling were painted with sigils I'd never seen. They were swirly, with a lot of motion and energy to them, but with a lot of sharp points too. They were painted in blood, over and over for who knows how long. There was a flimsy old weather-beaten bookshelf on one side of the cabin, and an old deep freezer on the other side. There wasn't any electricity in there. I checked the bookshelf first. Knew the freezer would be bad. The bookshelf had a few old books on it, eaten up by silverfish and mold. Some were Filipino books that I couldn't read, others were children's books that I knew. A few Bibles. The whole bookshelf smelled like piss, but when I noticed it still running from one of the Bibles, I realized she had been at it recently. There were photographs. I couldn't recognize any of the people in the photographs except for John and one other, because the rest had their faces scratched out. I was looking at a family photo. It had to be Juan, Doris, John, Liza, and Lizette, but everyone had their faces scratched out. Everyone except for Liza, the older sister, and John. They were probably 13 or 14. I stepped over to the freezer, took a deep breath, held it, and opened the freezer. Disco. Juan, Doris, and Lizette Torres, I presumed. Oh, fuck. They were... Nah, I won't describe it. That would give power to what she did. Suffice to say that it was fucking terrible. Awful. I wish I hadn't seen it. I closed the freezer and turned around to leave, and it was dark outside, like fucking full-on dark. I thought it was the cabin fucking with me, so I stepped outside and rubbed my eyes. It was dark. I pulled out my phone. Clock said 9:50 p.m. This did not make me feel very fucking good at all. I pulled out Eddie Dean, my .44, and headed down the trail, intending to get to my truck as fast as I could. I was passing the first cabin, the one closest to the chicken houses, when the thing got behind me. As soon as I stepped onto the trail, I heard it crunching, and I whipped around with a tiny mag light. It was fucking huge. 7 feet tall. It had 2 long, narrow horse legs with hooves, the torso and arms and hands of a man, and a fucking horse's head, but with like fucked up gray glowing eyes. Yep. I put a round in it, then another, and it staggered into the woods. I couldn't tell if it was hurt or not. I hauled ass. It didn't follow. When I got out of the woods to the chicken houses and to my truck, I spotted something shiny in the grass under one of my front tires. I had put away the flashlight, but still had Eddie Dean in my hand. The area was well lit because of all the security lights. I looked around to make sure nobody was creeping on me or anything, and got a closer look at the shiny thing under my tire. I thought she had maybe stabbed my tire with something at first, but it wasn't flat or anything. Then I knelt down and got a closer look at it, and saw it was an old plastic gin bottle. I had parked right on top of it. I stood up and looked around. Every time I perform ritual inside of a cemetery, which is often, I find an empty bottle of gin near the gate. Something to let me know I did right. It took 3 in a row, but goddammit, I finally at least realized what it was that was trying to talk to me, even if I didn't realize what it was they were saying. Old King Death. I took a deep breath, dug my heels into the grass, and holstered Eddie Dean. Shook off the fear. What the hell was I afraid of? Dying out there? There are worse ways to go, and at least it'd be interesting. Probably messy. What else can a motherfucker ask for? I grabbed my flask out of my toolbox and took a big swallow of Hendrick's gin, pulled a joint out of my shirt pocket, lit up, and walked to the Torres house. Might want to grab a drink yourself here, folks, if you don't already have one. Shit is about to get weird. The house is probably 400 yards from the back tree line and the chicken houses. Plenty of time to smoke that whole joint and get both comfortable with facing death and also paranoid as fuck. By the time I walked up on the house, I was thinking Pearl/Liza was behind every tree. She wasn't. That paranoia is good, though. Keeps me jumpy. So I rounded the corner of the house, which is a big 2-story place, old-fashioned farmhouse style, but not actually old. The paved courtyard where they parked their 2 cars was well lit from security lights all over, but still full of shadows. I hadn't noticed it until just then, but the crickets were silent all around the house. I I saw movement through a window and heard noise coming from inside the house. I took a few steps closer to the house to change the angle of the glare on the window I was looking through. I could hear Pearl inside. It sounded like she was having fun. I got my phone out, switched the camera on, and crept over to the window. It's fucking grimy, but it's 500,000 goddamn dollars. I'd play you the audio, but it doesn't sound like anything, just noise. So here's what I saw through that window. There were 6 or 8 naked people standing in the kitchen. Apparently this was the kitchen window I was looking through. I say standing, but one of them was bent over a bar stool, getting it real fucking rough from both ends by 2 of the others. The one bent over the bar stool was John Torres. The others were all Pearl, or Liza, I should say. Or both? I wasn't sure what I was seeing, but I knew they matched the description of Pearl and the photo of young John and Liza Torres I saw in the cabin. But there were 7 of them. 7 of these identical Pearl/Lizas, and they had dicks. Kinda. They were more like weapons growing out of them. There was blood running down John's legs and dripping off his chin into a puddle on the kitchen floor. Fuck. I headed back to the truck. I don't remember stopping the camera and putting the phone away. I lost all my fucking cool. I was scared, man. Scared as fuck. What the fuck was she? This bitch was fucking superpositioning all over the goddamn place. Who the fuck can do that? I got to my truck, yanked the door open, and there she fucking was, standing right there. This part I will play for you. I should mention that she was naked, and not a bad looking woman at all, circumstances aside. I should also mention that I had Eddie Dean pointing at her the second I saw her.
You want to film me?
Already got a good take. That's a wrap.
You don't have to do it for John. We can have fun without him.
I'm set. Seems like you guys have plenty of fun on your own with the incest and the superposition gangbanging and all.
Nonsense. There is never enough fun. Never enough pleasure.
Are you Liza Torres?
Liza Torres is rot! She is the slime that I suck from my heels and toes in the morning! She is corpse meat! And what you see before you is what rose from the stinking altar that she has laid on!
Self-improvement. I can dig that. That shit in that cabin is fucked, though. That's all kinds of wrong, and you know it.
Shut your fucking mouth before I jam something in it, you pathetic fucking grass eater! I am vulgarity made flesh. Rot is in my blood. Pain is my joy. Excrement is my sacrament. I am in life, and I will fucking show you the true way of the holy. Ako ang ahas na kakain sa kaluluwa mo!
Take another fucking step and we'll find out if you're bulletproof. And your brother, too. If I'm going to prison, we might as well get fucking crazy with it. I ain't fucking around.
Suit yourself.
She walked off toward the house, and I hopped in the truck. By the time I got it fired up and turned around, she was gone. I got the fuck out of there. Back at the hotel, I called Shelly.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, nothing. What's up with you?
What's going on? You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry to be weird.
Sure.
You know what I mean.
I gotcha.
I saw some fucking crazy shit tonight. I'll have to come over and tell you about it. Too much for the phone.
Well...
I'm sorry, man. I just wanted to talk to somebody.
Then talk.
I'll tell you about it tomorrow. You got plans?
Nope.
Cool. See you then.
Look, do you need me to come out there tonight?
Nah, I'm fine. Seriously. Just a little shook, to be honest. Nothing I can't convince myself I can handle, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, call me tomorrow.
I will. Good night, lady.
Good night.
Didn't sleep real well that night, but I did. I dreamed about a guy I've been dreaming about for years. He's an old black dude in a brown, double-breasted suit and hat. He doesn't have a name. He's not a man. He was standing over a hole in the ground, leaning on a shovel. There was a pile of silver dollars in the hole. The old man looked down his nose at me and nodded. I woke up, grabbed some coffee from a gas station, and called John.
Good morning, Elliot.
Morning, John. Got your video.
Oh, good. I'll text you the address I need it delivered to. It's in St. Augustine.
What do you mean it's in St. Augustine?
I need you to deliver the video to St. Augustine.
Can't email it?
It's not how my associate works.
Your associate? Who is this guy? No offense, Mr. Torres, but that ain't how I work either. I'm not driving to St. Augustine without knowing who I'm going to meet.
He's my lawyer. He's just old-fashioned. Superstitious, rather.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you want me to do with it? Burn a DVD?
Tape, please.
A tape? I don't even know how to... Look, I can figure it out. So I take the tape to your lawyer, and what?
And he gives you the rest of your money, and your job is finished.
Yeah. Okay, no way in fucking hell anybody's gonna watch this video and think it's real, but alright. What about you, John? What about Pearl? You think she'll lay low after last night? Does she get worn out?
No, she will not stop. She can't stop. It is every night, Elliot. Every night.
I just hung up on him. Didn't really know what to say. So I called Shelly to tell her what was up, dropped off the $250,000 at my place, and drove to fucking St. Augustine, Florida, which is about a 4-hour drive for me. I had time to think. This was the score, by my reasoning. John was a liar. He was in danger. Desperate. But he was my client. You might be thinking, what about Pearl? Why isn't he concerned with her? Let me remind you that this was just a classic catch my spouse cheating on me bullshit kind of job, but with $500,000 and a witch thrown in, which was complicating things. Pearl was not my concern. No, John was not my concern. I had to finish the job. My dumbass took the job, so I was damn well gonna finish it. And the other half of the money was waiting. So back to the score. John's a liar and a desperate dude, and rich as fuck, apparently. He has an old-fashioned lawyer that won't let me email him the damn video. Or I was driving to a coastal city to get fucking killed and dumped in the ocean. Also, dude wanted me to give his lawyer a video of him getting gangbanged by a bunch of clones of his wife? For what? None of it made any sense. Look, since I obviously made it out of St. Augustine, let me get to it. I pulled up at the address about 3 p.m. It was a 2-story brick house in the outer suburbs of St. Augustine. It was not at all a lawyer's office. Maybe his house, but definitely not an office. It had a heavy feeling to it, thick shadows all around, looked separated from the rest of the houses on the block. I knocked on the front door and a big old dude answered, black dude, and showed me to an office upstairs. He only looked at the gun on my hip once, and didn't seem bothered. Dude wasn't armed himself, but he looked like a fucking smasher. Huge hands, calloused knuckles, scars all up and down his forearms and on his face and neck. I made note to put plenty of fucking space between me and him if he was going to be part of this meeting, and I was glad I had Eddie Dean on my hip. I followed him upstairs and into an office. The stairs had a railed lift for a wheelchair. The lawyer was sitting at a desk, in a wheelchair, and the room smelled like weed, tobacco, rum, and incense, with a tiny hint of rot underneath. It smelled like home. There were artworks hanging all over the room, all crossroads stuff. Some had Papa in them, some didn't. Some were of La Santa Muerte, some were of the Hill of Golgotha. I saw one of my man Cain, giant jawbone in hand, smashing Abel's head in. There was a sigil drawn on the ceiling, a sigil I know very well, the sigil of Papa Legba, keeper of the crossroads. Here's some of the recording I got. It is interesting, to say the least. Here we go.
Come in. Come in. Have a seat.
I'd rather stand.
Of course, suit yourself. This is it?
That's it.
Well, then let's give it a watch.
I'd really rather not, but alright.
Well, this is deplorable. You saw this?
I recorded this video, yes.
What is she? What are they?
I think they're all her. She's powerful as hell, like nothing I've ever seen.
She evil?
So at this point he's eyeballing me hard, like all the weight of the world was going to be in my answer. The big dude was standing in the open doorway behind me, and I was turned sidelong between the desk and the door so I could keep an eye on the big guy. I don't think I said exactly what the lawyer wanted to hear, but then again, maybe I did.
What's evil? I don't know. She's harmful and hateful and profane, I can tell you that.
Is she dangerous?
Absolutely. She killed their whole family and violates their remains on the reg. She kills unnecessarily, all the damn time. She's a sick fucking sadist that gets off on fucking her brother and all his holes and fucks dead animals.
Please. Please.
You asked.
Well, here's your money.
Thanks. Look, what's this all about? Ain't no way you're just a lawyer. Surely you know I recognize all this, right? I know his signs.
Yes, I realize that you recognize all this. It's why you're here, Mr. Black. I needed eyes on the ground. Someone I could trust.
You trust me?
In this instance, I do. We worship at the same altar.
I see that, but I don't know you. What are you telling me? That I was working for you this whole time? I don't get it.
No, you were working for John Torres. John wants out of his marriage. I am his divorce attorney. He needed evidence for his case, and at my behest, he hired you to acquire that evidence for him.
Right. And in what divorce court are you going to show that tape?
You said you recognized all this, but I don't think you know where you are.
Right here, he reached down behind his desk, and I couldn't stop myself from drawing Eddie Dean off my hip. The big dude in the doorway didn't even move, just stared. The lawyer laid a sharp-looking sickle onto his desk. He looked at the gun in my hand and sighed. I holstered it.
Mr. Black, I'm the right hand. You stand at the crossroads.
Ah, we're talking divorce in the cinematic sense.
I suppose we are. And in the primal sense.
Guess that's the only way out of this one for John.
It's the only way out for all of us.
Indeed it is. Well, best of luck with that. I got a long drive back home.
Goodbye, Mr. Black.
The big guy showed me out, and I drove home to the land of Georgia. When I got home, I poured up a tall, ice-cold Hendrick's gin and knocked it back, then grabbed a shovel and walked out into my backyard near the tree line. It was dark by then, probably 9 o'clock. Under them old Georgia pines, I dug a hole as close to 6 feet deep as I could get it. I lit a good cigar, opened an old bottle of rum, and took a drink. It tasted like blood. I put all the money in the hole, $500,000 in cash. I emptied the rum into the hole, all over the money, and then threw the bottle in too. I lit a match and tossed it in. The fire was black. When it was mostly ash, I filled the hole back in and smacked the mound of dirt 3 times with the shovel to pack it down. I played my part, but I wasn't spending no fucking witch blood money, no matter how much I wanted to. I gave it to him, old King Death. As John's lawyer said, more or less, death is the only way out for all of us, and those are words I live by. Pearl had it coming just like the rest of us, and maybe even more so because of being such a cunt. But I'm not a fucking hitman, or a moralist. I never heard from John Torres again, and I never looked into what happened to Pearl/Liza. Not much of a pop for the end of this one, but that's how she goes. This ain't Kolchak the Night Stalker. I ain't making this shit up. This is Weird Out Here, and you've been listening to The Case of the Witch Killer. Talk to you next time, folks. Until then, y'all stay aware out there.